And just like that, we are back again. Another exciting week of NFL action begins tonight. We have a divisional showdown as the Pittsburgh Steelers travel to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. The home team is already on their third quarterback of the season in Joe Flacco, while Aaron Rodgers attempts to make up for his struggles from 2024. The Steelers are favored by 4.5 points, but with an over-under of 44.5, so there should be some action offensively. We have a lot to consider for Thursday's action, so let's jump right into some TNF DFS picks for Week 7.
Captain.
By no means does this suggest that DK Metcalf is a better receiver than Ja'Marr Chase. But when you consider the quarterback situations of the two receivers in addition to their production so far this season and their cost, Metcalf becomes the better option. He's roughly $3,000 cheaper on DK tonight, and he's only averaging about 3 fantasy points less per game. Metcalf has developed a strong chemistry with Aaron Rodgers, and the receiver has benefited with big plays galore. While he only has 19 catches on the season through 5 games, Metcalf still has 356 receiving yards for an average of 71 yards per game. Rodgers isn't leading a necessarily prolific air attack, but he's shown the ability to make big plays when needed. And when that happens, Metcalf is generally the recipient. In his first year with Pittsburgh, Metcalf has 4 touchdown catches, and he should build on that tonight. It also helps that with Calvin Austin sidelined, Metcalf's target share could potentially increase. If you can fit Ja'Marr Chase, there's no reason not to target him. The Steelers rank 25th on DK against opposing receivers, so Chase is in a position to benefit tonight. We also know that Joe Flacco is going to, rightfully so, look early and often for his star receiver. In his first game with Flacco, Chase was targeted 12 times and caught 10 passes for 94 yards and a touchdown. Chase has 4 touchdowns on the season, and that includes 3 in the past 2 weeks. Despite the struggles at the quarterback position for Cincinnati, Chase is having a solid season with 42 catches and 468 yards, which still makes him the best player tonight. Flex plays. Neither team has a standout running back tonight, and Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback on the slate. By no means is he recreating his prime years from Green Bay, but Rodgers does look better than what we saw from him last year on the Jets. He has at least 1 touchdown in each of his 5 games so far this season, with 10 in total. Rodgers doesn't run, but neither does his counterpart in Cleveland, and he's averaging just over 200 passing yards per game. Ultimately, Rodgers will do just enough to win the game for Pittsburgh, but he should finish with close to the 16 DK points he's averaging per game. Pittsburgh Steelers defense. Sometimes we have to make the prudent, salary cap-focused decision instead of going for the flashy skill position player. In the case of tonight, though, we don't really have many flashy options, so let's target the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. So far this season, the Bengals are allowing the second most DK points to opposing defenses, so that's sure to catch our attention. Through 5 games, Pittsburgh has shown the ability to get to the quarterback, 20 sacks, while generating turnovers, 5 interceptions, and 5 fumbles. That's where we get DFS production, and with the Bengals not expected to truly light up the scoreboard, there's minimized risk. The citizens of Baltimore want to fire John Harbaugh because his defense is so bad. So here's a sobering thought for the Steelers as they lick their wounds from their embarrassing defensive performance early this season. The Ravens have given up just 23 more yards through the first 6 games of the season. The only difference between the Steelers and Ravens at this point of the season is the Steelers have been able to produce some timely turnovers that turned some equally dreadful performances into unlikely victories. Avert your eyes if you don't want to see the ugly numbers for the NFL's highest-paid defense. The Bengals put up 470 yards on Thursday night in their 33-31 win, the most yards allowed by the Steelers since the Bills put up 552 on them in Week 5 of the 2022 season. It doesn't matter if it's Joe Burrow, Joe Flacco, or any other ordinary Joe. The Bengals under coach Zach Taylor have the Steelers' number. Taylor could bring Joe Pisarcik out of retirement, and he'd probably be able to pick apart the Steelers' secondary. We pride ourselves on getting that splash. Outside linebacker T.J. Watt said, "I don't think we had a turnover last week, and we didn't have one tonight. If you're not stopping the run, not getting off the field, and not creating turnovers, you're in a whole world of hurt." The Steelers are somehow 4-2 even though they are giving up 375 yards per game. Only the Ravens, Dolphins, Bengals, and Cowboys are giving up more. If the Steelers continue at their current pace, it will be the most yards they have ever given up under head coach Mike Tomlin. There was a time when if the Steelers took a late lead, they could count on their defense to close the game out. That's no longer the case. When tight end Pat Freiermuth was rumbling down the field for his 68-yard touchdown that gave the Steelers a 1-point lead with 2:21 left on the clock, Steelers fans across the country were saying the same thing. They scored too soon and left too much time for Flacco. That's what you live for right there that moment, inside linebacker Patrick Queen said. You play like crap the whole game and you still have a chance to be big for your team, and you come up short. It's nothing to dwell on. We'll be ready when that next moment comes. Will they? The problems on defense go back to last season. They have given up 30 points or more in 3 of their first 6 games this season. They gave up 30 or more twice in their final 7 games last season. Over the past 13 games, they're allowing more than 25 points per game. It's frustrating because we know the type of defense we have, outside linebacker Alex Highsmith said. What type of defense the Steelers have is up for serious debate. The Bengals entered Thursday's game with the league's worst running game, averaging just 57 yards per game, but they ran for 142 against the Steelers. The run defense has been horrible since last December, and they don't appear capable of fixing it. It was the 4th time in 6 games this season they allowed more than 100 yards to their opponent. Going back to last season, it's the 8th time in the past 12 games they've given up 100 yards or more on the ground. We have to stop the expletive run, veteran defensive lineman Cam Hayward said. It's as simple as that. It's about being consistent. There are highs and lows. You have to win play in and play out. That's what the greats are about. Casey Hampton, Brett Kiesel, Tyson Alualu, Stephon Tuitt, Javon Hargrave, Aaron Smith, Ziggy Hood, they prided themselves in stopping the run. As a D-line, you have to wear that as a badge of honor, and we didn't do that tonight. The Bengals' running game made it easy for Flacco on Thursday night, but even when the Steelers did have him in unfavorable downs and distances, they couldn't get off the field. The Bengals converted both a 3-yard and 14 and a 3-yard and 10 for first downs. That's another problem that dates back to last season. The defense can't get off the field. The Bengals ran 76 offensive plays 4 days after the Browns ran 82. The Bengals converted 7 of their 14 third downs. For the season, opponents are converting third downs at a 42% clip against the Steelers. Like most of their other defensive stats, that ranking is in the bottom third of the league. I'm sure it's a mix of a lot of things, but we have to solve it quick, Watt said. It doesn't get any easier for the Steelers. The most challenging portion of their schedule lies ahead. Their next 2 games are against the Packers and Colts. The Colts lead the NFL in scoring and the Packers are 8th. Things change quickly in the NFL. The Steelers entered the season thinking they could contend because of their defense. They might still contend, but it's their suddenly dangerous offense that might have to do all the heavy lifting. The NFL trade deadline for the 2025 regular season is fast approaching. Teams have until 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday, November 4th, to finalize deals that can either strengthen their roster now or build for the future. Real movement is expected in the coming weeks as playoff contenders look to add key upgrades across positions, while struggling teams aim to stockpile future draft picks. Here's a look at how some of the league's top contenders can address their biggest areas of concern. 11 NFL ideal trade deadline deals for 2025. Steelers trade for Jets RB Breece Hall. Hall is a pending free agent, and the Jets aren't certain about bringing him back on a long-term deal. The Chargers have dealt with the most injuries in the backfield, but Hall could also be a great fit in Pittsburgh, providing an overall upgrade over Jaylen Warren. He'd thrive in Arthur Smith's offense while reuniting with Aaron Rodgers. Lions trade for Bengals edge Trey Hendrickson. The Colts also need a complementary pass rusher and could be in the mix for former Bengals defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo. However, the idea of Trey Hendrickson teaming up with Aiden Hutchinson has long been viewed as an ideal scenario for Detroit, which is both the cap space and the motivation to pair 2 relentless pass rushing stars together. The Bengals' Week 7 win over Pittsburgh gave Cincinnati's playoff hopes life, which could impact Hendrickson's availability, but the situation is still certainly worth monitoring. Patriots trade for Raiders WR Jacoby Myers. Myers has been a reliable target for Josh McDaniels in both New England and Las Vegas. He could replicate what Kendrick Bourne did for the 49ers before his time with the Patriots. Keyshawn Bout, Demario Douglas, and Stephon Diggs have all developed chemistry with Drake May, but adding a true big slot receiver who already knows the offense well would be a major boost for the second-year quarterback. Seahawks trade for Saints WR Rashid Shaheed. The Seahawks have rookie Torrey Horton flashing as a big play threat, but they could use a little more experience and extra speed to complement Jackson Smith-Njigba in Clint Kubiak's aggressive downfield passing game. Shaheed broke out for Kubiak when the latter also was in New Orleans. Eagles trade for Browns G. Wyatt Teller. The Eagles need some interior help to upgrade from right guard Tyler Steen next to right tackle Lane Johnson. Teller is a pending free agent who still has something left to fit in well with their interior blocking scheme. Broncos trade for Browns G. Joel Bitonio. The Browns' longtime star left guard also unsigned beyond the season. They need some guard help with Ben Powers out with a biceps injury. Bitonio would be a welcome plug and play to make Denver stronger up front for both Bo Nix and the power running game. Colts trade for Dolphins edge Jaelan Phillips. If the Colts cannot make it work for Hendrickson or the Lions outoffer them, they can fall back on this other productive pass rusher. Phillips not helping a bad overall Dolphins much, so he can rev up his career under Anarumo.